You're listening to the Meet the Farmers podcast with me, your host, Ben Eagle. For previous episodes, visit thinkingcountry.com or find the podcast on iTunes or SoundCloud by searching for Meet the Farmers. Hello and welcome to episode 45 of Meet the Farmers. Today I'm in Suffolk with Sally and Shan Bendall, who run Hollowtrees farm, which is a 140-acre farm just west of Ipswich. Hollowtrees is primarily an open farm shop and cafe which welcomes many thousands of visitors each year. While on the farm, visitors can follow the Bendall's farm trail, during which they'll come face to face with various animals. They can also buy fresh produce in the shop, all grown on the farm, from veg to meat. Now, before we get into the serious stuff, I want to talk about triathlons. Let's go straight in. Because Shan, you're very into your fitness. Tell me about all of that, because I am trying to spearhead at the moment Farm Runner, hashtag Farm Runner. Please search for that on Twitter and Instagram. Basic idea behind Farm Runner is very simple. If you're a farmer, go for a run on your farm, take a little video, use the hashtag Farm Runner, and the whole idea behind that is that partly it's about showing off what you're doing on your farm, and partly also, but together we'll hopefully motivate each other to get a bit fitter. But here we already have a fit farmer. So yeah, Shan, tell me about what you're doing fitness-wise.
Yeah, so I came back from uni a few years ago, and I've always been sporty. I swam when I was younger and things like that, but I wanted something to keep me busy post-uni in quiet Suffolk, so we actually sat around the dinner table. I'd looked at loads of different sports clubs and I was like, well, I can swim, I can do a bit of running, and I've got a bike, so I decided to
put them all together.
put them all together, join my local triathlon club, so I did, and then it spiralled from there really. So I do quite a bit of it now, and it keeps me busy both before work and after work as well.
Yeah. Do you find certainly that marrying of keeping physically fit helps you in the business?
Yeah, definitely. Our role is very physical. I do a lot with the school children, so we take them around the farm and show them what we've got on the farm, and I'm on my feet all day, as well as at the events as well that we do. So again, I'm on my feet all day. So just being able to move around and stuff, it definitely helps being fit.
Sally, take me back to 1986, which is when you first moved here.
Yeah.
To what was then, as I understand, about a 10-acre plot?
Yeah, that's right. Yes, it was just 10 acres. Basically, my husband Robert and myself had farmed on a small holding Ipswich way, but we wanted a farm of our own. Robert said to me one Christmas, "What do you want?" I said, "A farm of our own." And being an obliging husband, he asked his father, who'd got the 140 acres farmed arably at the time, viably arably, if we could just rent 10 acres, because where we were at the time there was no opportunity of progressing for a house or anything. But yeah, so we moved a caravan here and took 10 of the 140 acres, parked it under a big hollow tree, which still exists, and hence Hollowtrees. Yeah, so that was 1986. And we moved our agricultural enterprise here, which was calves. We were rearing calves through their weaning stage, and Robert's really good at growing, so he was growing some vegetables, potatoes and the likes. And we started with just a roadside table, to be honest. And then, as those older listeners will probably remember, there was global markets, Chernobyl, etc., milk mounted, all sorts of things externally made calf prices go sky high, and we found ourselves financially in a bit of trouble. And the thing that was doing well was the roadside table. So that obliging husband asked me again, what would I like? And I said, a shed, please, so I can build a farm shop. And that was 1986, 87 time. Okay. 87 obviously was the hurricane that we had, so that wasn't brilliantly easy. We had our first son that night as well, so that was interesting. Yes, we don't do things sort of, just the norm here at Hollowtrees. But yeah, so, and it's just grown from there. It's been an evolution, because we had, in honesty, got ourselves into financial sort of issues, and we vowed never to do that again. So we've never borrowed heavily or anything. We've just gone as we could when we could.
So it was all about recognising which bit of the business was doing slightly better at one time.
Absolutely, yeah.
Put a little bit of investment into that,
Yeah.
see where that goes,
Yeah.
and then grow
Yeah,
gradually.
exactly.
Go.
So something has to pay for itself before we reinvest.
Shan, if you could sum up in a few sentences what you're trying to do here at Hollowtrees and what your main aims are for the business today.
Yeah, we've always had an open farm ever since Mum and Dad started it, and it's written in our mission statement is to allow access to agriculture for all. The second part of that is through food, education, fun and adventure and employment. So you've got the food in the farm shop, so offering great food that we grow here on the site or meat from the butchery. Education, like I said, we take schools in, so showing them what we do on site. Fun and adventure is the farm trail, really, allowing access to agriculture through children feeding the animals, enjoying just sliding down a muddy hill, going on rope swings, that sort of thing, and employment. So we employ 70 plus people now, so just allowing the community of job opportunities in agriculture. So yeah, it's really about being open on our farm and allowing access for people.
If we could sort of split your enterprise up, perhaps focusing on the production side first of all, what are you producing on the farm?
Vegetables, we're on heavy clay land here in our farm in Suffolk, and so it's mainly brassicas. We produce the cabbages, the sprouts, the likes. So we're doing vegetables on that front. We also produce our own beef, pork, lamb and goat. And we have a flock of free-range hens, so we've got eggs as well. And plant centre where we produce the majority of the plants for that and grow some flowers as well. And all that comes into the shop and is sold. Nothing is sold elsewhere. So it either goes into the butchery, and then we do a lot of added value. We've got chefs producing sausage rolls with the pork as a basic example, and the cafe that we have here, it's only our own meat there and it's all cooked from scratch. So there's nothing that goes elsewhere apart from a small acreage of arable that we have to keep the rotation in, and also to keep us a good mixed farm to offer the field to fork offer for the education that Shan does a lot of now. So
how long have you had the butchery on site?
We've always, or I say always, we originally put in a freezer when freezers were more popular, probably about in our tiny farm shop, possibly about 20 years ago, and it was always an ambition that we would have a butchery, but given the policy I spoke about earlier, that was something would make itself pay, and we decided to go cafe on site before we went butchery, and cafe worked, and so the butchery is, I think, 6 years old, only 6 years old, and now it is up to about 40% of our turnover within the shop, so it's really storming ahead.
So when and why did you decide to bring people, the public, onto the farm?
As Shan said earlier, we've always had an open farm policy. We've always been quite allowing people to look at the animals, and we had calves, and calves are always an attraction. People love to see, and so they'd come to this roadside table and call, can we just pop in and have a look at the animals? So as well as doing beef calves through their weaning stage, we also did for a short time loose house veal calves, which again have that word veal has a stigma attached to it. So we were also quite proud of our loose house veal system, and so it was come and see what we do. We've nothing to hide, which has always been how we feel. So the combination of people wanting to see little calves and for us wanting to say to people, come and see how we do it, because, farming can have a reputation where we're not doing things properly, meant we've got people all over the place. And that was becoming, as much as nice it was becoming a bit of an issue. So I recall a friend coming to me one September time and saying, why don't you put this into a proper path round? Why don't you sort of get it so you only know where people are going, so you don't find them in your garden on the children's trampoline, which we did one day. Things like that. So we did. It was like a light bulb moment for me. By the October, this was September, by the October we'd got the start of what we call is now our farm trail, which was a route around the fields and farm, and that has expanded beyond.
Yeah, I was going to say, how have you developed the farm trail over time, or is it fairly similar to how it was on when you first started?
The basics are there, that it goes through the livestock barn, so you literally see the animals that are coming into the butchery. But the competition has increased for farm attractions since we've been here 30 odd years, and it's increased dramatically, and people's leisure time competition has increased as well. For 20 years, I think it was free. We didn't make a charge for it. We saw it as a marketing exercise to bring people to our little village and our farm shop, come and see our animals as well. So it was free. It then became a monster in that, it was so popular. And one Easter we had so many people on site, we couldn't get out of our house with our cars and things like this. Wow. So we decided to put a whopping charge of £1.50 on it. And it was like civil war. Really wasn't it? Yeah. It was a terrible, terrible time. And I know that might sound silly to when you've given people something free for 20 odd years, to start saying there's a charge, it was, and we were called greedy farmers so many times, so much so that as the staff would have, we had less staff then, but they had like an army helmet and a can of Raid behind behind the counters as a joke, because it was like the next person that shouts at me about this. But it was quite an upsetting time as well, because people were genuinely upset, and some were abusive about it as well for that charge. But it was, stick it out, and we'd go and see a few other places that were more money, and it was like, we've got more to offer, so we've got to stick it out, which we did, and obviously haven't looked back from there. We've gradually put it up, and the general fee now is £3.95 normal times, but summertime we up it and put more activity on it. It's still great value for money, but because there's obviously the 20% VAT on that as well, so it's not all money coming straight back into our coffers. And so it's expanded. With that investment, we were able to put the necessary toilets on there. We were able to put more activities out there and employ more skilled staff to man these things as well. So
that's an interesting point, as you just alluded to in that section. Because I get this quite a lot with livestock farmers and the whole vegan anti-livestock brigade of actually feeling threatened. What is your feeling at the moment within the farming community of being on the defensive? Or do you feel, because it's a strange time in terms of there's lots of change going on, do you feel that farmers feel threatened, or do you feel like it's very much put a wall up and go on business as usual?
I think it is a very difficult time. We are bringing public onto our farm, and the general public, we're bringing schools in, and they all have different views that they're welcome to. But I think we want to show them what we do and what other farmers do. Yeah. If they decide not to eat meat, then that's their choice, but we want to help inform that choice for them. So I don't think we need to put a barrier up and things. It can make you feel uncomfortable when there are groups about, and if they're vegetarian or vegan or something like that, and that they are, it can make you feel quite uneasy about some of the comments that they might come out with, either on social media or to your face, about your choices that you make by working on a farm. But I think we try and just be open about it.
Yeah, we're open in the fact that we take some of our school children, we give them the choice, and we always give them the choice to go into the butchery and talk to the butchers and see a carcass. And we're talking some really quite young children, and we talk to the teachers and say there is no compulsion to do this. And the butchers are very clear about what they do. And as Shan said, it is a difficult time, and it has got harder, particularly the groups coming in. Some of the young children are vegan, aren't they? And with all due respect, sometimes they haven't seen the other side of the argument. And whilst we're not wanting to get on our soapbox about it. I think we try and offer a balanced view, and we have a vegan menu in our cafe. We have
so plenty of vegetables.
plenty of vegetables, and so we try and accommodate our vegans as well, as our meat eaters as well. But as a farmer, we try and have a balanced view about it and not ram it down people's throats at all, but say, this is how we're doing it. Come and look, if you're not happy with how you feel we treat our animals or whatever, come and see us, because everything at Hollowtrees is on show. There is no out the back where you keep, your animals that go through anyway. Everything, what you see today is what will end up in our butchery as well. So I think people respect that as well, the fact that we're not hiding anything. And if we're doing anything wrong, they will soon tell us.
Shan, tell me about your education programme and the different groups that you cater for.
Yeah, so we have loads of different groups. We mainly have primary school. It's come from sort of all over, like I say, the different towns. So we run March till September, just when the weather's a bit better. And we can do anything, any topics, link it into school curriculums, food discovery, field to fork, that sort of thing. We do topics on 4 seasons, farming business. We can also have older students in and college students we've done before, as well as sort of evening visits with brownies, rainbows, beavers, that sort of thing. So last year we had about 72 groups in, which is about 2,500 different pupils or students. So that was really good. And like I say, it's a big mix of different types of groups, but mainly primary school, I'd say.
What advice would you give to a farmer who was going to open up their doors to the public?
In an education setting, my advice would be to be organised and to be safe. A school is going to visit your farm, and it goes to the general public as well. Especially a school will visit your farm if they feel it's a safe opportunity for their children to learn. And I think farms that aren't open to the public can quite often be scared about opening to the public because of all the risks and things. But it's just about being sensible and managing those risks and things like that. I think that's really important for a school to know that they're coming to a safe farm.
And a structured visit, I would say. We've built up templates for these visits, and I think when you've got groups of them, we can take groups up to 90. Pupils at one time, and you have to have a structure and you have to be organised. The minute you lose that, then, as Shan says, your visit becomes unsafe, unruly, the teachers don't like it, it's stressful, children don't enjoy it or get anything out of it. So a structure I would always advise, wouldn't you?
And that goes with the farm trail as well. If you're opening up your farm just to the general public, when we say about safety and structure and organisation, like we mentioned before, we've now got a route on the farm trail. It's a circular route, they can't go off those paths, and things like that.
The dreaded B word. Will you be affected by Brexit at all here?
I think our farm shop will be, initially, because whilst I've said we can grow the brassicas, we can't do the fruit that, one of our aims has been to become a virtual one-stop shop for our rural visitors, so that we buy in the fruit, we buy in the veg that we can't grow, and we're at the mercy of the markets, which generally take what the supermarkets don't have, and those that don't supply in big contracts, and that is something that's changed in our farm shop lifetime. The markets have become, there's less choice there, and I think fresh produce will be hit initially, whether we have deal or no deal. It can't, continue as it is. So I think there will be a few months of uncertainty of what we can and can't get, because unfortunately I think, the guys that are bigger than us will take the first pick if there's a shortage of, I don't know, let's say and a particular apple or something, it's not going to be Hollowtrees that are going to get first choice on that apple. You know, if it's something people want, I'm trying to think of something that, you know, we don't grow melons or something. You know, it's going to be the big boys that are going to have that first, and the markets will suffer, I think. And whilst we don't have Eastern European labour, as I've said earlier, you know, the labour market has got harder and the pool has got smaller. And I think that will have an effect, or is already having a bit of an effect at the moment. So yeah, it will affect us. But I hope we've got a business, well, I'm 90% confident we've got a business that's resilient to it, because that's all you can do.
Thinking optimistically about the future, what are you excited for the next few years?
I think both of us would love to continue with the education and building that. We know that we'd love to have more people, different groups on site, and an education hub just to show people that there's more to farming than driving tractors and things like that, which I've said before. We just want to show people that this is where their food comes from. These are your opportunities in farming as well. And there's so much more that we can do, and I think we both have that passion for.
Yeah. I mean, Shan has taken the education on for myself, which is great, and I'm really excited watching her grow it. You know, we're trying to forge links with the older students, aren't we? So it's pulling that together. But also we have a very young team that run the whole place now. You know, it's a big team. And we've got a team of young managers that we've been on a strategy to get a team together. So I'm quite excited to see how we can let them move forward, or not let them, but, you know, help them move forward, so that Robert and I, as, you know, the older ones, can start to stand back a bit. So I'm excited about that as well.
So you can have more holidays.
So I can have more holidays.
Before we do the 1 minute soapbox, Sally, can you tell me a bit about your time at Eastern Otley College?
I don't have holidays, but I do get off the farm because I do lots of other voluntary agricultural work, one of which was Chair of Governors at Eastern and Otley College. And help them merge together, which unfortunately, sadly now is going to be demerging.
Isn't it?
Yeah, I mean it's under consultation at the moment, and I think it's just indicative of the industry and the way things are. Standalone agricultural colleges are just falling off. They're merging with General FE, which is what's happening with the college. So, you know, as a farmer, I've been, prior to getting involved with the educational establishment, I've been very cynical, thinking they have the summer holidays off and everything else, and where we farmers are all struggling to get our straw in and all this sort of thing. But in honesty, I saw a different setup, you know, in that it is tough and very tough trying to deliver particularly vocational education nowadays, and funding, government moving goalposts every 2 minutes, and particularly in college funding that wasn't ring-fenced, has just not helped at all. But some fantastic students, some fantastic people that are passionate about education that I hadn't realised were out there. So it was a great time. As I say, it's change ahead with the college now, but I think, unfortunately, that is the way all college education is going, not just our local ones. So they merge as you get, everything is merging. Councils are merging, colleges are it's all happening, isn't it, to cut costs, because that's the environment we're in now.
Right, 1 minute soapbox. So, I don't know which one of you are going to do this yet, or you can both do it if you want. But so listeners, this gives guests an opportunity to speak for 1 minute on a subject of their choice. Just getting 1 minute up on the clock. Who wants to do this?
Okay, we'll both do it if you like.
Okay, Sally first. Okay. So Sally, if you can introduce your subject, you have 1 minute to talk on it, starting now.
Okay, so my subject is please don't dismiss our youth, the youth of today that people are always saying are on their phones and everything else, and they're not. We in our team have 34 students and a rolling programme of students all in education, and they are the lifeblood of this place. And we need a bit of management of them. They are high maintenance at times, but please, my plea is to stick with them, and you will find people out there that you never thought could do things. For instance, I'm thinking of a boy that came to us who started on our dishwasher in the cafe, and my goodness, I wanted to sack him 1,000,000 times. Absolutely did. He was useless. He went into the butchery, started an apprentice, and sadly, as great as he was, it didn't quite fit. Went out on the farm and has taken level 3 agriculture, top student, and now with a top seed merchant, found his niche.
Brilliant. So excited. I stop this. Do you want to do it as well?
I don't know. I don't really know.
I could go on and on.
Once you get on it.
Yeah, once you get on it.
Okay, Shan, you have 1 minute to introduce your subject, starting now.
So my subject is childhood obesity. It's something that I really want to change, and I think farming is so linked to that, and perhaps many people don't see that. I think it is so important to be able to show these children where their food comes from, and there is so much more inside nowadays, and we've got the opportunity here on the farm to be able to let them run around outside and to play games outside and to, like I say, go on those rope swings and things like that. And just enjoy the great outdoors. We have different sort of like wild farm clubs to get them out here and enjoying being outside, but also with wildlife and nature and farming as well. But going back to the point, just showing them where their food is from so that then they can make the decisions about what they choose to eat.
Very good.
That's quite quickly.
No, it's super. I don't want either of you have time. I'd love to have a quick look round as well.
Yeah, sure.
Go around.
Stan, so your buildings, first of all,
Yeah.
which we've just been in, which houses your farm shop. What did this area, and we've got the car park ahead of us, what did this area look like
So
when you were first
before we
here?
even started, this was just a green paddock, a couple of ponies for the farm sort of on this paddock here, and we brought our caravan under this big hollow tree that we've got beside us, and the building we've just sat in was one of our original calf sheds.
Okay.
And so we converted that into gradually a shop and so on, and then ironically it became a bit of an issue that we'd got animals next to shop and flies and pigs and all beside each other. So we then took the second farm building, and replaced it and moved it to what's now our farmyard. So we've actually moved the farmyard, and then we extended the shops. And car park has always been an issue. The bigger we get, the more car park we need. So you can see in front of you lots and lots of cars, and that's gradually increased and is never enough. And our house is now surrounded by cars as well. We live in the centre of all of this.
Why not? So is that, on a typical day, how many visitors do you get?
Typical day, just thinking about...
I know that must vary through the year, but...
Yeah, it does vary quite a lot through the year, really. What we're thinking about, an average of 500.
Yeah, I'd say about that. It like we say, it varies at different times of the year. I can kind of think of some numbers for, say, our 10-day Halloween event. So that's over October half term, one of our busiest times on the farm trail. And over,
I like the pun.
Yeah, it's good. Over the 10 days, we'll see sort of 15,000 people through. So that's a figure I've got in my head. But that's one of our busier times.
And it sort of depends if you've got people just coming to the farm trail, as families or whatever, or you've just got people coming to the farm shop to buy sort of their tea, or people just coming to the cafe. And the real challenge is to get people from the farm trail, the families, the youngsters, to get into the farm shop to see the good food that we're growing here. So if you built the place again, you wouldn't do it like this. You'd put the farm trail entrance going through the shop, you know.
You wouldn't put your house in the middle of it.
And you wouldn't put your house in the middle.
I can promise you that.
Well, it's not a perfect world. So this is the beginning of the farm trail?
Yes, it is, yeah. Just this, as we walk up here, this is the start of the trail. And again, this is something that's moved completely from one side of the farm to the other to make it a more circular route.
So we're into shed number 1. We have cattle, goats and pigs alongside each other. Is that quite important to have different species in a quite a small area from a access point of view?
Yeah, it is, but we don't do it purposely. We still consider ourselves a working farm, despite the fact we've got people everywhere. You know, so the reason the animals are where they are is because they need to be in, because the pigs are growing on, or we need to be weaning the lambs or something like that. They go where they need to for the farming bit of it, not for the public bit of it.
You're not cordoning off certain. You're like your cream of the crop. To go in a certain area and then put others around.
The only thing we might do is, sometimes on very, very busy days, the goats can get overfed because they're a bit enthusiastic about coming to the visitors.
Okay.
So we might move the goats around a bit simply for their own sort of, welfare.
Yeah, looks like.
Because, like we've said, numbers vary so much from, some days 1,000 on our really busy days to down to some wet day 20, and so you have to adjust your food for your animals accordingly. Most of the trees that we're walking through, Robert has planted. As I say, this was all sort of paddock or whatever, so going through quite a lot of dense trees now, I suppose. So over the years we've just continually planted trees, and I think in probably 10 years' time the whole place is going to be a lot different because there's been so many trees planted.
I was going to say, how often do you actually get out onto the trail, both of you?
I was out 3 times on it yesterday.
Okay.
I go through stages where some weeks I'll be out here a lot, other weeks not. It'll be in the in the office for a week and then come out. You're out most days on it with your school.
I was going to say, Shan, I take it with the education side, I reckon you're on this most of the time.
Yeah, a lot of the time I'll be out here. So one of my team or myself will check the farm trail each morning. We have to do safety checks. So depending who's available, it'll be one of us to do those. And then, with the schools, we come out here. And if you're lucky enough to have a group of 90, we'll be around here 3 times in a day. Normally, like Mum said, you spot something that you want to change, a sign or something. So you end up walking back round here plenty of times.
It's not a long route, is it?
No, it's about 800 metres if you just do the circular route from running it in the mornings.
For sort of mixed ages, that works quite well.
Yeah, and we've got different bits that they can go down into, so extra bits and pieces that they can branch off and do. But yeah, it's a reasonable distance for most people.
Yeah.
And
moving down the hill.
So we're coming into
playground. Because you've got everything here, haven't you?
So this is what we call Pogue's Pit. An event originally. This was just overgrown. It was our neighbours, and we swapped some land with him, and it was an old brick pit. This bit in here, you'll see in a second, is where all of the trees and things are. It's completely overgrown. You wouldn't have known you could do anything here, but the more you cleared the space, it was a bigger and bigger space, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sign around. We're going this way to turn the sign around.
See, this is the thing about wandering the trail, isn't it? Yeah, you always see something.
Yeah. So it's closed when it's open. These are our Crest-run grass sledges, or Crest-run sledges, and they're really popular. We always get asked when they're opening. They're just on a little wooden track down a fairly small hill, but the incline they just whiz down the track, and they love it.
And this is our latest investment. Well, one of our investments was our barrel tray.
Okay.
We bought this last year for Halloween. And
£10,000.
yeah, anybody who works on the farm, you know, they're out there sort of picking veg one minute and driving the barrel train the next. It's not your norm farm work.
Multitasking. And a maze?
Yeah. So this comes into its own in our October half-term event, and then the cattle or whoever goes into it afterwards. Everything pays its way, as we've always said.
Yeah.
You know, so the animals go on it afterwards. But so this one is specifically for the October event, which, as Shan said, there's so many people that we've kept a separate maze for that. And the wildflower one, which looks more like a wild thistle one this year, is for the summer, and that should be more of wildflowers, shouldn't it? But
Yeah.
past years we've had wonderful sunflowers and all sorts of colour, but this year the thistles seem to have got the better of it, don't they? So
This is one of the simple investments of yoga balls.
Wow.
they look like they're deflating in a minute.
Not sure whether they're being used for yoga at the moment.
No, but they're all for kicking around, and like we said earlier, it's just about getting them outdoors, getting them active, and just a really simple thing of having some yoga balls out here for them to play football with. Or
It's the typical cardboard box thing, isn't it? You don't need, you can put anything there, and it's what people make of it.
Yeah. No, it's the simple things, and we've always maintained that. As I say, our market isn't the scary high, roller coaster rides or anything like that. It's being on the farm and just having some fun.
Yeah. So what are your opening hours?
So the farm shop opens at 8:30 until 5:45. Farm trail is just a bit shorter than that, but yeah, and a Sunday 9 till 5.
Shan and Sally Bendall at Hollowtrees Farm. You can find out more about Hollowtrees by visiting their website, which is hollowtrees.co.uk. Next time we're sticking with open farms, and I will be meeting Fiona Siddle at Eastern Farm Park, so we're sticking in Suffolk for that. In the meantime, you can catch all previous episodes at thinkingcountry.com and selected episodes on iTunes, SoundCloud or eatfarmnow.com. I'll look forward to you joining me next time on Meet the Farmers.